During the health crisis, how did it feel to have our freedoms crushed under the guise of the government doing what they said were actions that would help us rather than hinder us? Years later, thousands of layoffs, small businesses closing, millions of Americans dead, households at the brink of bankruptcy, and the powers that be sending billions of dollars of taxpayer money not to its own citizens but to foreign nations, specifically the Ukraine. And now, well, it's hard to even imagine how it could get any worse. But they're finding ways to make it worse still. Leave it to our government. It's only a matter of time until the current administration signs away power to the World Health Organization to put in place policies that will be the guiding light for future pandemics. Just give all the power to the WHO. They really have to give us a break about planning new pandemics, right? Also, if this is a new guiding light, it sure seems like a train coming straight for us. You know what this could mean? It would give them the power to mandate vaccines, lockdowns, essentially have the population monitored as they wish. What the heck is going on here? Well, I've got a lot of information and more, so make sure to watch until the end. You're not going to want to miss any of this. Now, before I continue, please take a second, hit the like button for the video. It absolutely helps out in getting the word out to everyone. And if you're in need of your daily dose of the truth when it comes to global happenings, Social Security, SSI, SSDI, state of our economy, the housing market, the stock market, and everything that's going on in Washington, D.C. that affects our lives, our families, and our bank accounts, make sure to subscribe to the channel. And if you own a home, make sure your home is protected. Get your free home warranty quote. There's a link in the description down below. It only takes like 15 seconds. YouTube fam, our freedom is criminally underrated. Some take it for granted, to be honest. The freedom to say what we want, do what we want with our lives, and ultimately be accountable for all these things. The health crisis made us realize how important the freedom of choice was, because it was at this time where a drug meant you either lost or you kept your job. Tough choice to make. Where a passport that was made specifically for the time meant the difference between you being able to visit your loved ones or not. Whether you stayed at home or could leave just to buy your necessities. It was really a very interesting yet troubling time for a lot of us. And if the World Health Organization gets what it wants, then maybe you and I have to value this freedom a little bit more than usual once again. They're already putting in the foundations of another pandemic in our minds. And this time around, they want more control. According to the WHO CA+ and their vision for the world, they're aiming for a world where pandemics are effectively controlled to protect present and future generations from pandemics and their devastating consequences, and to advance the enjoyment of the highest attainable standard of health for all peoples on the basis of equity, human rights, and solidarity, with a view to achieving universal health coverage while recognizing the sovereign rights of countries, acknowledging the differences in levels of developments among countries, respecting their national context, and recognizing existing relevant international instruments. The WHO CA+ aims to achieve greater equity and effectiveness for pandemic prevention, preparedness, and response through the fullest national and international cooperation. Now, it says that they respect sovereign rights of countries, and here's something that they put here. They're expecting full cooperation from the nations across the world. Now, if you ask for a full meal, do they not include drinks, fries? You should have everything, right? So they're saying that to achieve an effective response to a future pandemic, leaders should be willing to just hand over the keys, hand over the rights of their people to the World Health Organization. Let them handle it. Let them make all of our decisions for us. Now, isn't that what full national and international cooperation is all about? Although, to be fair, this is still a draft and changes can still happen, but it doesn't look too good already. What do you think? Now, you guys should already know that the WHO is funded by the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation. A huge majority of their funding comes from the foundation. So if control is handed over to them, we basically be giving unelected officials the right to call the shots during the next health crisis, one that they've predicted multiple times. It's almost like if you give power to the WHO, you're giving power and control, full control, to Bill Gates and likely other members of the WEF. Is this what we want? It's also not a question as to why this organization has invested heavily in biopharmaceuticals. Now, if you're an investor, it's a no-brainer, especially if you're 100% correct in all of your pandemic predictions. Although, you gotta ask, were the policies that were suggested by the WHO beneficial for any country, or did it change how we face the pandemic in any way? In all honesty, the last health crisis showed that their response did little to help people around the world. But still, these are the people who we should entrust our lives to. Can you guys remind me which election these people ran for? Because I swear I didn't vote for any of them. Oh, I'm sorry, they're unelected officials. If you do read this this draft. It does seem like a good idea. Basically, if they stick to sharing ideas and research between different players around the world, this could eventually help speed up the process of figuring out what these viruses are and can lead to humankind getting back to some semblance of normalcy. But the problem lies in their approach. If they are considered to lead all of us in the next pandemic, they would have the right to define what constitutes as a pandemic. They can also have us under surveillance, push for a one government response, mandate worldwide lockdowns, vaccines, and the like. Stuff that we all experienced during the health crisis, and basically make all of our decisions for us. There's even one that talks about misinformation, or at least the chance of it. But hey, they'll be listening to all of our chatter, so they already know what we're thinking of. Look at this. In their efforts to strengthen pandemic and public health literacy, they want to conduct regular social listenings and analysis to identify the prevalence and profiles of misinformation, which contribute to design communications and messaging strategies for the public to counteract misinformation, disinformation, and false news, thereby strengthening public trust. End quote. I can't make this stuff up, guys. Social listening sounds so scary though, doesn't it? Are they going to just always be constantly recording us? Will they have access to our social platforms? Oh, I'm sorry. This has already been proven. Thanks, Twitter files and Facebook. The next pandemic may be a war of information, and this could be why they're trying to place these in advance. If we're allowed to think, allowed to form our own opinions based on data, then it becomes an infodemic. Now, I'm not making that word up. It's actually in the draft, and they didn't properly define it just yet. And if you thought I was kidding about the surveillance part, you could see it right here above infodemic. I could hear it now. Don't believe those conspiracy theorists. Don't believe your doctors. You have to listen to the word of the WHO and no one else. But doesn't that seem to be a risk as well? Here's a question. What if they're wrong? They're the only voice when it comes to this next health crisis, and if they get it wrong, how are these unelected officials going to be held accountable? And at that point, who's going to be left to hold them liable? Not the United States government, because this administration would be supporting them. Here's a snippet from the White House website, dated February 2nd, 2022. It reads, supporting and strengthening the WHO. Among his first acts in office 1 year ago, President Biden declared the United States would re-engage with the World Health Organization, the WHO, highlighting our nation's commitment to advancing multilateral cooperation in a time of international health crisis. Last week, the United States once again demonstrated that commitment by leading a successful decision at the WHO Executive Board meeting to strengthen the International Health Regulations 2005, end quote. Now, by the time this video goes out, we may already have agreed to this draft. Well, not you and me. I mean the powers that be. Are you guys worried at all about any of this? Or is this all for the future of mankind? Let me know what you guys think in the comments below. While that future is uncertain, we can at least control one aspect of our lives with our finances. And you might ask, Ron, we're drowning in debt, our credit cards are maxed out, and we're not getting opportunities to make money. What are you talking about? Well, I'm talking about making a change in your lives. Now, there are many different ways to face financial troubles. Some focus on investments, others in real estate market or in the stock market. Some develop multiple streams of income with side hustles or small businesses. And with all that cash flow, you need to start thinking about budgeting. Now, all of these different things, they meet at one point or another. And this is part of the process of getting back to financial freedom. So if you guys want to learn more about these topics, feel free to join us over in the Patreon community. There is a link in the description down below. Also, for the best way to invest in gold, you'll see a link down below as well. Hoping to hear from you guys soon. But before I go, please drop a thumbs up for the video. Also subscribe for your daily dose of the truth. Appreciate you guys watching. Please be kind to one another, and I'll see you in the next video.